Hey guys, welcome back to the Tipsy Ghost. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsay.
Hey guys.
Hello.
With a slight intro from our friendly dogs on the floor. Hello.
Lucy.
Hello, dogs. How are you?
She's just staring at me.
I'm
Hi.
trying.
Just because I have food in my
You're
hand.
eating a breadstick.
She's
like-
like,
Give me that damn breadstick.
Food
Lucy,
in
back
your
off.
hand and food in your mouth.
I'm a classy girl. What can I
like how
say?
you leaned in to laugh with food in your mouth. Most of us try to lean away. Not Lindsay. Not Lindsay.
She embraces it.
I'm going to choke on my food, and then you're going to have to do the Heimlich on me.
Historically speaking, that's accurate. She will. She will choke.
I aspirate all the time. On my spit, on my drinks.
I'm telling you, you need a swallow study.
I'm
You just
Sorry.
have
I'm a clumsy person.
a little gremlin come out.
Even my swallow functions are clumsy. There's a joke there waiting to happen, isn't there?
That's what she
Sarah's losing
said.
it.
I think that might be what she said.
That's what someone said.
Somebody said it, and there's definitely a joke.
There's definitely a joke there. I
Lindsay's
just
not
don't
good at
know
swallowing. There we go.
it. There it is. That's what
She's
Lindsay
got
said.
a lazy swallow. That's what she said.
A
Like,
lazy-
literally, that's what you
I've
said.
never heard of a lazy swallow.
Or clumsy. Clumsy, that's it.
Where did lazy come from?
I don't know. This drink to my brain came up with lazy. That's what happens.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It just is what it is. What are we drinking tonight?
I honestly don't know. Mike made his drinks tonight in
Tasty.
honor of we finally know who won the election.
I was-
And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a red,
It's
white, and blue
over.
drink.
Yes. I was listening to the episode that comes out tomorrow, proofreading it, and we were like, we will know who the president
I
was.
know.
I was like, we almost didn't.
I know.
I didn't think it was
Fact.
going to be until like Monday or Tuesday.
You know, there still could be some things drawn out for a while, but
We'll see.
we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. But today we're just gonna enjoy our drinks
Yes.
and enjoy our plans and enjoy our company. That's what we're doing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Clink. Unless you can't cheers with a breadstick.
That's what I had in my hand. Clink.
Cheers. Okay, yay.
Oh.
I know it's got grenadine in it. He said that.
Yeah.
I taste Sprite. I taste Blue Curacao. I taste coconut. I don't know.
You're much better at that than I am.
Oh, I know there's raspberry vodka.
Oh, I love a good raspberry vodka.
I brought over some Moscow mules too.
Ooh, no boozy?
No. And I decided in honor of our celebrations,
You got your cup.
I brought my cup.
Look
Oh,
at
Blair,
you.
look at you.
I try.
Well, today we're going to talk about our time we went to the Missouri State Penitentiary.
Yes, we are.
Bam,
Okay.
Okay, so it's okay when you do it, but when I do it, it's annoying.
That was rude. Oh, okay. My phone just said you have a new memory, and it's from your bachelorette weekend.
Oh, God. Which picture?
It was a good one.
A new memory. That was
I
this
know.
year.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know why it's telling me I have a new memory.
Anyways.
Do you guys have any memories about our drive down to the Missouri State Pen? Because I do.
It was my birthday
think?
weekend. That's all I remember.
I drove.
I let you guys sing.
Yes.
We sang
Yes,
Hamilton.
We did 2 Hamilton songs.
I let them have
And WAP.
2 songs. And my exchange was that Sarah would try and rap WAP to me.
Right. Which
And
I
it was really
couldn't.
great because Lindsay was cringing the whole time.
I hate that song so much. But we owned it at Hamilton, and afterwards I asked you, I said, don't you just want to watch Hamilton now? And she's like, no.
I think she pretty much just ignored us.
I
that
think she did
entire
too.
time.
It was
Just
great.
rude because I tried really hard.
We have worked really hard to memorize those words,
I gave
okay?
you guys your moment to enjoy each other singing Hamilton.
We did enjoy it.
We did.
Yes. And you're welcome.
And I'd do it again.
It's over.
Next time we're just gonna get you so drunk that you pass out in the car so we can sing Hamilton the whole way.
I'm sorry, is Sarah going to stay up later than me?
No, that's never gonna happen. I remember the drive
Struggle
back where
already.
I was shoveling Cheez-Its into my mouth to keep myself awake.
Yes,
Yes.
this was our longest
It
night
was long.
ever.
Oh.
It was. When did it start? Like 8?
8, I think.
8
8 a.m. to 6
a.m.
a.m. and it's a 2.5 hour drive back for us.
Mhm.
So we got home at 9 a.m. And I was dead.
Ooh, it was a struggle.
It was so
We
tired.
wanted to take the train, but we just couldn't quite align it.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
the times weren't quite right.
And I
Yeah.
didn't nap before we went, so I was up for a long time.
That's how I'm feeling right about now.
Yeah.
We're going tonight on another one. Investigation.
Yeah, we are. The last
Mhm.
minute one. But yes, Missouri State Pen. So it is in our lovely capital, Jefferson City, Missouri.
Boyston's going to tell us all about
Yes.
that history.
You wanna hear it?
I wanna hear the history.
I really do.
This is a really cool place, guys. We highly, highly, highly recommend.
Oh, says the non-believer of the group.
No,
She likes it for the history.
I love it for the history.
The history is really
God,
cool.
I just know you so well.
You do. You do. It was so cool.
It is, and I'm hoping when you're talking about it, it'll like jog some of my memory because there was so
All right.
much going on.
Well, let's
It's
do it.
huge, yeah.
So, the Missouri State Penitentiary. Just after Missouri became a state in the 1820s, then Governor John Miller suggested a prison be built in Jefferson City so that he could lock in the city as the state capital.
Is that how it works?
I guess
Yes.
so.
Okay, cool.
I
Probably because it brings like a lot of money to the city. Sorry.
Can you tie your
Jobs?
shoe later? Okay,
You can be
now's a
walking?
great time. Perfect.
Thank you.
They're tied at the end, dude.
Yes, but the thing came undone and it was
And she
bothering me.
had to fix it.
I am very particular. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, proceed.
So the same man who built the Capitol building in Jefferson City, James Dunica, was tasked with the job of overseeing construction on the new prison. And a few years and $25,000 later, the prison was built and opened for business in 1836. The first prisoners were a group of 15 men, most of whom were from St. Louis. 14 were in prison for larceny, and the 15th for stabbing a man during a drunken brawl.
Okay.
Can I ask a stupid question? Can you tell me what larceny is?
Isn't that theft?
It's theft, yeah, up to a certain amount. I forget.
Well, the first time I heard it, I thought somebody was mispronouncing arson.
It's not fired.
It's arsony with a L.
Okay, that really clears it up.
So in 1842, the first female inmate arrived,
Okay.
and by 1868, A Hall was finished. I knew you were going to laugh at that.
A-hole!
A Hall was finished using stones quarried on site and the unit built by inmates, and they actually they quarried these stones and they helped build a lot of the houses that still stand around the Missouri State Penitentiary.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
A little labor.
yeah, we it's fine.
That's great.
We're not doing it anymore. It's okay. So
Manual labor.
That was
this
great. That whole conversation. You guys are great.
well, we all know what we were saying.
Yes.
We just didn't want to say it.
Right.
So this new A Hall housed prisoners until the day the prison closed. But when we went, the roof of the building had actually been torn off by a recent tornado, so we weren't able to see it in all of its glory. We were able to look up and see the stars.
Did
And
you know
that's-
that there was a tornado in Jefferson City?
So
There was.
we went on a little trip to Herman earlier this year, and we were on the train, and we stopped in Jefferson City, and the three of us were like, oh my god, it's a Missouri State Pen, I can't wait to see it, because we knew it was right off the river,
Mhm.
and that's the train route is along, basically.
And we knew we were going to be going there.
Right.
Yeah, so we were super excited. Some lady had just gotten on the train, and we're really excited to pull up and look at Missouri State Pen, and she's like, well, didn't you guys hear that we had a tornado? Like, all accusatory, as if we were so ignorant about the tornado situation in Jefferson City. And my little shout out to her is that tornadoes happen all the time in the Midwest, and I do not have the
No.
time or the energy to keep track of what buildings they hit.
Well, and my question was, did it tear down the whole prison or something? Like what?
Right.
Okay.
It knocked some roofs off. I mean, a lot of damage was done. Yes, I get it. However,
She acted
you're
like
not the center of the world.
Yeah, she acted like we should have known. And I was like, oh no, like, we're not from Jeff City, we're from Kansas
Yeah.
City. And she's like, oh, well, you
Yeah,
didn't
like-
hear about it? And I was like,
No,
no,
offense.
we're in the
to-
middle of a pandemic.
This
There's a
happens.
lot of
We
stuff
had one
going
in, like,
on.
I think I
Hey.
had some one too many mimosas, and I was like, no.
It was just very uncomfortable. So when
It
we got
was.
there, and they were
She's
like,
mad.
the roof got torn off from a tornado. I was like, yeah, did you guys know?
So
No.
But anyways, I thought it kind of made it look really cool that you could just look up and see the
It was kind of
stars.
cool.
it's, not the OG, didn't get the full effect, but it was still really awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm. That was my favorite building.
A-hole?
Yeah, just because it was...
I think it's because we put the wrong emphasis.
Just because it was just so... It was just so cool. Like, I just thought it was such a unique building, and...
It was cool.
I mean, it's like 4 levels of just cells, and it's just...
Like a prison?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's amazing.
Strange.
Weird how that works.
So those are really rude. Fine, I hated it. I hated everything about it.
I love your enthusiasm.
Actually,
Keep it up.
You love us, so don't even try and play.
Gosh, I hate you.
Don't even add us. So there was a riot over food and working conditions in the 1930s, but this ended peacefully. Fun fact, they were tired of having Irish stew.
Wasn't this during the Great Depression?
1930s, yes.
So they probably didn't have a
It was
lot of
like
money
that
for
may have
food.
been all that was available.
That's probably
It's
why
cheap.
it ended peacefully. The warden was like, bro, I don't have no money.
Right. Like, look at the country. we're all struggling.
You're
Everyone's
actually
eating Irish stew.
you're doing a lot better than half the country. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So that ended peacefully. However, by 1932, 5,200 inmates were housed there, and at the time, this was the largest inmate population in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And another riot in 1954 did not go as well. So one evening, 2 inmates faked being sick in order to attract the attention of 2 of the guards, and the guards were ambushed on their arrival, and the prisoners took their keys and used them to open up the cells of other inmates, and it got out of control. The incident was super wacky, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the Missouri National Guard, and the police departments from Jefferson City, St. Louis, and Kansas City were all called in to help. And in the end, 4 inmates were killed, 29 inmates were injured, and 1 attempted suicide during it. He just couldn't handle. I don't know.
Yeah. Stressful.
It was, I mean, actually,
Or maybe it was a
very
good
stressful.
distraction or something,
Yeah,
and he'd
true.
been planning it for a while.
Yeah. 4 of the guards were seriously injured, and several of the buildings were burned. They set lots of fires. There was fire damage that you could see there for years and years. But it wasn't successful because 0 inmates were able to escape. Countless injuries and deaths within the facility led Time magazine to deem the prison the bloodiest 47 acres in America.
I have a sweatshirt that confirms that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except for I can only wear it, I feel like, in October.
It's a very weird sweatshirt to proclaim the bloodiest 47 acres.
Yeah,
It
like,
is.
are you the bloodiest 47
I think
acres?
I don't know. No. I definitely not.
I don't know. No.
Let me have 1 second. No, I'm not.
Several notable inmates have passed through the Missouri State Pen, one of which was a guy who we have covered on this podcast, Bob Berdella.
Old Bob.
Bob, the Casey Butcher.
I mentioned that in my story, that he went to Missouri State Penn.
Yeah.
He is a sick man.
You'll remember that he was a serial killer, a rapist, a torturer, and he was sentenced to life in prison in 1988.
Yep.
Another name many will likely recognize is that of James Earl Ray, and he is the man who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
And this is where I'm not super proud to, talk about the Missouri State Pen, because Ray was incarcerated at the prison on March 17th of 1960, and he escaped 7 years later on April 23rd in 67 in a bread box that was supposed to contain loaves of bread destined for another prison. During
Isn't a
Like
human
a
weigh a lot
tiny-
more than bread?
I'm
Wouldn't they
picturing
know
one of
this?
those bread boxes you put on the counter.
I don't know that they weigh
Well,
would weigh things
do
back
they
When
then.
pick 'em up?
you're lifting it, wouldn't you be like, this is really heavy bread?
Maybe it was a conspiracy. Maybe somebody was in on it, you
Okay.
know?
I feel like
That
I would
too.
notice
I don't
the
know.
difference, but
Well,
okay.
not everybody's as good as you,
I
Lindsay.
know, that's true.
You'd
I
be
know
like,
this.
bread, body.
Bread, body. The
Same.
bread moved.
Same.
The bread is moving.
So a terrible thing
He
happened.
got out.
Okay,
He
sorry.
got out.
During the trip, Ray escaped, and he would go on to assassinate Martin Luther King Jr. on April 4th of 1968.
I was
never
confused by
knew
your
that.
timeline at first, because I was like, you said 1960 he was incarcerated. I was like, didn't MLK die
Incarcerated
in
in 68. He escaped in 67, killed him in 68.
That's terrible.
Missouri State Penn, if you guys knew the difference between bread and bodies.
Maybe things could have gone differently, but that's very unfortunate and horrible.
Maybe it was sourdough.
That's
Sourdough's
not-
kind of heavier.
On behalf of the state of Missouri, we are sorry.
We don't.
Oh, I will not take that on. That was pre-me.
That was true. That was decades before us.
So, of note, in 1974, Lillian Bonds became the first female correctional officer to work in a male correctional facility. So,
Go Lillian.
Yeah.
Way to go.
We like that. Women's rights.
Shattering that ceiling.
Prior to 1937, executions were actually carried out by the local sheriff, which sounds terrible. Between 1938 to 65, 39 prisoners were executed in the gas chamber at the penitentiary. And then in 1989, an inmate was executed via lethal injection, and they had just changed around kind of the gas chamber setup to be a lethal injection setup.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that building in just a few.
Yeah, we got to go there.
But the last execution to take place at the Missouri State Pen and the first execution by lethal injection was that inmate in 1989.
Oh, okay.
So death row inmates were held below ground in a special unit and not allowed to leave that area except for 1 hour of exercise daily in a fenced area next to death row. And Sarah actually sat in one of those cells alone, which we, of course, will get to in just a few.
Yes, I did.
But it's just kind of crazy to be, in the same place.
It was, yeah.
So this
We'll
would
talk
later
about it, yeah.
change due to issues with prisoner rights and things like that. And death row inmates were given privileges based on their behavior, which is kind of an oxymoron to me, but I get it. Like in prison, it's based on their behavior. However, pre-prison, they probably killed somebody. So behavior is interesting.
Yeah.
So in 2003, a year before the prison was to close, an inmate was murdered by 2 of his other inmates as they worked in the prison's ice plant. The 2 that murdered the other inmate were found 4 days later in a room concealed from correction staff by a pegboard. And there was a stockpile of goods, and the 2 inmates had planned to stay there and wait until the prison closed so they could escape, because it was supposed to close in 2004. But they were found out, and so their plan did not work. It did close in 2004, the Missouri State Penitentiary, and a new facility named the Jefferson City Correctional Center, JCCC, was opened.
I can't say it that fast.
JCCC.
See.
But up until it closed, it was the oldest operating penal facility west of the Mississippi River.
I knew you were going to giggle at penal. You guys. It's like fart jokes.
At least, I don't know. At least I'm consistent.
Yes, that's true. I feel like you put penal in there just so we
I absolutely did.
Yes, I know you.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of other words you could have used.
No, penal. That is the Missouri State Pen. Just a quick down and dirty history.
Love it.
But we were able to go there. So first of our trip, like normal, we're in groups and we go to different places.
This was probably the biggest group.
But it was also the biggest
was
place we've been to. So, I mean, it's okay that it was a big group because
there's so many
we could
buildings to go to.
Yeah.
I know.
So the first place we went was, I think, Hall 3. It's either 3 or C. One of the two.
You're asking the wrong person.
And we went to, it was a cell block. And it's interesting because right when we walked in, they were kind of giving us the rules and a quick history, and the 3 of us tend to stand at the back in these places, and Sarah and I had our backs to the cells, like a row of cells, and I don't remember who it was, but either you or me, one of us heard something and then the other one got touched like immediately off the back,
like right when they started talking in the very beginning.
Yes. And Lindsay was over there just looking at stuff.
Looking at stuff. You say like that's a bad thing. Like
she's paying attention. Come on, Lindsay.
No. Like I said, I love this place because I love history. I love the history of it, and it's just so cool to me. It's such an that was a really weird noise your straw made. Sorry. It's a really cool place, and it has so much history to it, and it's old, and so like yes. I'm looking at stuff. I'm looking at everything because I'm just like on overload.
I think this was
Sarah and I have our doors open and we're like, somebody touch me.
Yes. They like hit the ground running like, ghosts, come at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the history. So-and-so was here. They're like, cool, where's the ghost?
I do both. I love the history and the ghost.
I actually do really love history. However, I would love to be just groped by a ghost more.
Okay.
But this
Hair
is
pull
probably
groping.
the place that we have been looking forward to, I feel like, the most.
Definitely.
Yes.
All three of us. We've been looking forward to this for ever.
So this building was
100.
like Gen Pop, right?
I believe so.
No, that's Hallway, isn't it?
I'll be honest, I don't
I feel like one side was the
know
general
or
population
remember.
and the other side is something different.
something different. Once you go down a floor, it's a
Yeah,
psych unit.
it's-
I mean,
yes,
every
yes,
floor
yes.
had different things,
Yeah,
different
true.
purposes. So I mean,
I
it's
can't keep up.
really hard to say because here
Yep.
we are. We're just us. So we were in this building, and in this main building, we're gonna call it either 3 or C. Should just decide on one now.
Let's just call it C.
C sounds great.
Sounds great.
C, senorita.
If there's A, I bet you that's C.
Yeah, that
Thank
makes
you.
sense.
Thank you. Mic drop.
A, B, 3.
I believe it.
So in the
C Hall.
It's the, like, big prison that still has its roof, and it has, like, blue stairwells all over on, like, several floors.
Building.
Yeah, that's the building we're talking about. So, like you
Yeah.
said,
Mhm.
you go down the stairs, and that's where, like, the psych unit was, basically, where they held the criminally insane.
So I guess while we're in this building, we can go to
Downstairs,
the
since we're there.
basement /
Yes.
psych unit. This is Lindsay's area.
Yeah.
And
This
I
place was fascinating.
Loved this area.
Yeah, we went back there a few times. I feel
Mhm.
like.
So this, I mean, obviously we're there at night. There's no lights anywhere. There's no electricity anywhere. And so we're all being led by this group, and he kind of just tells us, like, go in cells. This is the
Mhm.
psych unit. So we all, like, the three of us picked a cell to go in. And we had, I don't think we mentioned this, we had mediums on this trip with us.
We did.
Some psychic mediums. And so one of the mediums was with us at that point, and he said, I'm getting the feeling that somebody just had a birthday. Like, recently. And he said, somebody just have a birthday. And we were there on a Saturday night. My birthday was Thursday.
Oh yeah, and I pushed you forward.
And I wasn't going to say anything because, hello, Enneagram 9.
But we did. We're like, oh, she
she
did.
did.
I was pointing. Sarah
Yes.
was talking.
They were both like, she did. She just had a birthday on Thursday. And he's like, oh, well, happy birthday. And I'm like, thank you. And he goes,
And here's your present. Go down to this hall
Yes.
by yourself.
here's your present. Go down to the hall. So we were, like, in one of the last cells right before a new hallway. And there was other cells in that hallway. And he was like, there was a chair all the way at the end of the hallway. And he
Yeah.
said, just go here and sit here. And we used, it was like a recorder that had headphones so you could hear things live.
Like in real time.
In real time. So you could hear EVPs in real time.
It was very loud.
If you heard it. Yes,
Picked
it's
it up.
very loud. But also, like, I was far enough away from you guys that, like, you guys weren't drowning me out.
Right.
And so I'm down there at the end of the hall, and I can hear you guys, obviously, because I have the headphones on, but I can't see, like, my own hand in front of my face. It's that dark.
Right.
And so I felt I've mentioned many times on this podcast, I don't like the dark. I've never liked the dark. I attribute it from my night terrors that I had. I've always been scared of the dark.
Yeah.
And so I was down there. The wall with the windows are kind of to my right, and then there's cells to my left. And as he's, talking, asking questions of the spirits, all these things, trying to get responses, I hear shuffling off to my left in the cell, and it was just like shuffling, moving around. And I knew I was back there by myself in this hallway.
Yeah.
And so that kind of freaked me out because, again, I just felt alone. So thankfully, after
Alone
a little
but
bit,
not.
alone but not,
Yeah.
he sent somebody else down there instead. But I also,
You had the recorder with you.
I had the recorder with me, and I got some responses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, like, these are my people.
Yeah.
The psychs are my people. And so I got some responses as well.
She did, one of which was a really creepy laugh.
Yes, I remember now. I was gonna, yes, I got a very, very creepy laugh in the middle of just, like, nothing, basically.
Ugh.
I'm trying to remember what else.
There's just some strange cracking or crackling noises.
Yes, so I heard a growl. At one point, I heard a laugh. And so we did, side note, we came back here by ourselves. So after we did the whole group thing, we were allowed to go off and explore.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of lump all of that together. So the three of us went back here, and I think this was our last place we went.
Yep.
And we went back to that chair, and I sat in that chair again. And at one point, like we said, we heard a laugh on the recorder, and right after the laugh, I said, "Did you hear that?" Like, I don't remember hearing it in real time, but in the recording, I must have heard something because I said, "Did you hear that?" Like, immediately after
Yeah.
the laugh.
Did we acknowledge it? Do you remember?
one of you said, I thought I heard something, but like none of us was like, that was a laugh. Like we weren't able to pinpoint what it was.
Right.
And then there was a bang that we heard as well. We had the flashlights going at this point, trying to get responses. And the flashlight turned on because I can hear Boydson saying like, oh, thank you for turning that on or something. And then we hear a bang.
Yeah.
Right around that time as well.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And so, like I said, it was one of the last places we went. And then, Sarah, at one point you mentioned that you were hearing whistling. I couldn't hear anything through the recording, but both of you, like, you were like, I hear whistling. And Boydston acknowledged that she heard it too. I didn't say anything on the recording, but I couldn't hear it on the recording, so maybe it was just one of those things that
Yeah.
you guys heard. Yeah. And then we got an EVP of some kind. I could not understand what it was saying. I listened to it a few times and I still couldn't get it, but it was some voice saying something.
Ooh.
Very vague there. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Some voice saying something.
Some voice
enhance
saying
that one.
something.
So also in that building, just not in the psych area, I got on our recording, it's this really like, it's almost like when you talk into a fan, you know, how your voice kind of reverberates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was that, but times 100 in my opinion, and it said Sarah.
Oh.
And there's two Sarahs, so who knows which one it was for.
Interesting.
But I heard that, and it was from that building, and it was very creepy.
So I will say, while you guys are hearing these recordings, Jiminy, Sarah's friend here, Jiminy Cricket, was very loud.
It would not shut up.
And followed us everywhere. So
Fucking
you're gonna,
Jiminy.
you're going to hear lots of cricket noises in these recordings. So
Yes.
just a heads up there.
They were putting on a show that night.
They were. So yes,
Jiminy.
that was kind of our psych unit experience.
That's a good one.
When we were leaving the area, there was another group of people who were getting a lot of responses in one of the rooms
Yes.
where there was a ball.
They had flashlight.
They had a
responses,
flashlight
yeah.
going and lots of flashlight responses. And they had a ball that they were saying was moving. I didn't see the ball moving, but I was also at a weird angle. I don't know if you guys did.
I didn't see the ball moving, but I did see the flashlights.
So
Yeah, the flashlights were off.
I did see the ball move.
Okay.
It was just kind of, it was one of those cat toys, little motion
Yeah.
sensor
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
And we walked up on these girls and they were just
Very
staring at the
excited.
cell. And they're
Yeah.
like, you guys, you have to stay here and watch this. And so we did. It was, I mean, it was actually very cool
Yeah.
to see
Mhm.
this ball that they just put in there.
I couldn't see
And
it.
they're like, hey, can you please make this ball move? Can you please like roll the ball? And the ball rolled. Like it was stationary and then it
Ooh.
rolled. It's not like a gravity thing, Lindsay. It rolled. I saw it with my
Cool.
own two eyes.
There's your own two eyeballs.
My eyeballs.
It was like at 5:50 in the morning, and I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do.
We were literally trying to leave, and they're like, hey, you guys need to
Peeling
see
my
this. And I
eyes
was like,
open.
I have to drive 2 hours.
I
I'm so
couldn't
tired.
see anything anymore at that point.
So that's probably why I also wasn't paying the closest attention.
But that part was, I think, the coolest
Yeah,
part in
for
the
sure.
whole building. That was
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, I got the most uncomfortable. Well, no, not there, but I did not like being at the chair at the end of the hall.
Okay, where do you want to go next?
Let's go to A Hall.
Okay,
A hall.
let's
So
do
this
it.
is the prison.
The
with
roofless building.
The roof. The
Oh, I
roof.
knew it was
The
coming.
roof is gone.
Oh.
I don't know what to say.
Let me stick to the
I didn't want to
music.
say on
That
fire.
works.
The roof is now gone. I don't know.
Okay,
That was bad.
you get the point. The
Yep.
roof was not there.
The roof was not there. So this is 4 levels or 3?
Well, it
It-
used to be 4.
Either.
Used to be 4.
Yeah.
I think it's 3, but it used to be 4.
So
Cool.
this was like their gin pop. So it's a huge area in between the cells. Like you got cells on the left, cells on the right that go up several flights, and then it's just this giant, massive, like open area
Mhm.
where they just were allowed to run.
Just one long building front
Yes.
to back. Mhm.
So before we get into our evidence, we
You want to talk about the circle, don't
did
you?
something called a
I knew
a
she-
human
I couldn't.
pendulum.
I cannot.
I knew it was
Listen.
I'm
Sarah,
just not going to say anything this whole time.
Sarah and I are like really into this stuff, right? And we're all for it. But when we got into this, even Sarah and I were like, "What the hell is happening?"
And you guys know what my thoughts are. So I was trying to be respectful and not say anything. And finally I just looked over at Sarah and I was like,
And you could see both of us were like,
We gave each other the look, and she was like,
"You know it's bad, or we're not there for."
When Sarah and I are not into it, that means like you're past.
It's too much. It's too much.
Sarah was like, "I cannot." I was like, "Oh, good, because I can't."
So here's what it was. It was a group of, I don't know, 20, 30 people.
It was a big group.
Yeah, it was a big group.
Giant group. And we stood in a circle. And
a giant circle.
With our masks on.
And so
Yes, of course.
the pendulum part is, we all sway back and forth,
In
right?
the same direction.
We all
Create energy.
We want to create energy.
like a
We want to
vortex.
just do our thing. And then whoever, the guide says, whoever gets pushed forward or touched or anyway, that means that they've chosen you.
They being the spirits.
And they wanted them to speak up, and people did. And
Clarification.
Like
one person spoke up
repeatedly.
And
I was like,
I was trying to be nice, but yeah, you're right.
Her again? I think I said that to you.
She's real special.
So then her two
Like,
friends got to
extremely
come and
special.
be on either side of her, because as we're continuing the pendulum, we're swinging back and forth, giving this energy while
We are
everybody
creating the vortex.
each person asks a question,
I
and
felt
if
like I
she
was rocking my
goes
babies again.
if she goes forward, then that's a yes,
yes,
and if she
no.
gets backward, then that's a no. And her friends had to be there to catch her, just in case the
she
energy
fell.
was so
Yeah.
strong.
Because the spirits would push her.
And
the
so
ground.
we did this for, I don't know, a good fucking
It was a long time.
30 minutes.
Like multiple rounds.
So we would all go around and kind of like the circle of trust. We would
ask
ask yes or no
questions,
questions.
yes.
We did.
Each of us.
So we did that.
And watch her either step forward or step backwards.
So,
We're like,
long story short, by the end of it, I was over it.
We did like
and
3 rounds.
you would be proud of me. I think Lindsay was proud of me. Whenever it got to my turn, I was just so annoyed that I was like, "Did you wet the bed when you were a child?"
We did. We started asking the worst questions.
Oh, we were asking serial questions.
She asked that, and I said, "Did you kill animals?"
Do you have mother issues?
Did you start fires?
And so, like, people were asking like questions pertaining to Missouri State Penn, which was fine. But we were so over it that I think my next question was, "Do you believe in aliens?"
Yes.
Because I was just
asking anything we could.
I think
at that
we
Bigfoot was going to
ruined
be
it.
my next question.
Shocker.
I think we ruined it. And then finally,
They did believe in aliens, by the
Listen,
way.
there's probably another podcast going on somewhere that's like these 3 girls.
these 3 assholes.
We were trying to do the fucking
We were getting lots of
vortex
responses, and they asked the stupidest questions about aliens and bedwetting.
They were clearly trying to contact a serial killer.
I think finally the group is done with us, and they're like, "Okay, it's your turn to go to the dungeon next."
We did go to the dungeons.
And so that's where we went.
We get down there and they're like, "Does anybody want to volunteer to go to the cell by themselves?" And I was like, "I will."
Of course she did. She
I'll
was
go.
so over these people, she wanted to get away from them.
If I don't, then I start asking you stupid stuff. And
Mhm.
It's better.
You did. Jiminy was very loud down here, and you kept saying Jiminy
By myself?
Yes.
I believe it.
So tell us about. So we were doing like an EVP session in the dungeons while you were off on your own.
Yeah. So did you listen to my recording from that? Is that what you're telling?
She did.
I did.
Okay.
And so you talked about feeling something like a creepy presence in the corner.
Okay, that room is so fucking
Yeah,
dark.
let's talk about that room first.
Yeah. So not only are we in the dungeon, but the group was
Underground.
Yes. Thank you. There's like
Just
a little
making
tunnel.
Like you go downstairs, yeah.
And the one end of the tunnel is an open room that everybody in the group was in there.
Right.
And then I was around the corner in a different corner all by myself that they kept other prisoners down there. And I can't
Solitary
remember
confinement.
who was that? Who was the famous one that
They
was
talked
kept
about a guy who was put down there because he caught half the jail on fire.
Yes.
And he was put down there for 2-3 years. And
Oh
when
my
he
God,
came
I can't
out,
even
he
imagine.
was blind.
Yes.
Because he was kept in darkness for 2 to 3 years.
Yes, so there's a window,
Mhm.
but they have it boarded up with maybe like a half an inch opening at the top. So I can see why people would absolutely lose their freaking mind because your mind starts playing tricks on you. I think I was only in there for 10 minutes, 15
You weren't in there
minutes.
long, yeah.
And even I was like, I feel like I'm starting to see things.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you feel like you're feeling a presence in the corner. Well, you may be, you may not be, but your mind is just really going wild down there because there's nothing else to see.
Right.
It is crazy.
You can't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think I felt like extremely freaked out.
No.
We went in that cell after, didn't we?
The three of us went in there.
And I felt like fingertips on the top of my head, and I for like a second, and then but the big thing was like my vision changed. I was seeing like red.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know if it's actually happening,
right,
or
right.
like if your mind's just playing tricks because there's nothing else to make a light source out of.
Right.
So anyhow,
you mentioned seeing red, and you said that that's the second time that had happened to you since we'd been at Missouri State Pen. I heard a growl, like not real time, like listening back to the recordings.
Really,
I heard a growl
on my recording or in the
when all three of us were in there.
Okay,
and then. At one point, you said, "What was that noise?" But I couldn't hear anything. But you were talking about how there was a creepy presence in the corner, and you're like, "What was that noise?" Like you heard something.
Huh. Yeah.
And then, Boyson talked about the fingertips on the top of the head and seeing red. And Sarah, you kept saying that you felt like you could see someone, but they couldn't see you.
Don't know what I was talking about.
Well, because we were in that cell where that guy lost his vision, so you're like, I feel like there's someone here who can't see me.
Oh, that's weird.
But
I don't remember
here.
actually saying that. It sounds like it makes sense, though. I mean, given the scenario.
Yeah. So it was a very, it's just sad.
It is.
It's sad to me.
It's very sad.
It's an emotional place, I think, down there, just because he spent so much time in that room. It's very sad. For anybody, I mean, prisoner or not.
Yeah.
Lindsay and I were off in a smaller group, and we were doing kind of a quick recording session, but they were using a Pandora recorder, which I had never heard of.
Slightly different than the Phasma box?
It is. It's similar and different. So it's the recorder version. So they would record our session, but then on playback, it would only play back if a voice was heard. So like it would be really sped up.
That's right. I remember now.
Yeah, it would be really sped up, and you would just listen to between voices if you heard like somebody who was not here with us.
Yeah, we did that in the little hallway too, right before we went in there.
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like we caught a couple things, but I can never make out what they are.
Yeah,
it was really hard to hear.
Yeah.
And it was hard to hear. Jiminy was very loud, and there was a group upstairs doing the human pendulum thing. So I mean, you can hear them.
Human pendulum.
That's what they called it.
That's what they called it. I kept thinking of human centipede the whole
exactly
time.
Right. My brain's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where my brain went to. Okay.
We did spend some time up in the cells upstairs too.
Yeah.
On our own. Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, they were kind of, dare I say, cool prison cells. Like they
were more spacious than I would think.
They were spacious. They kind of looked like they had a different design.
Like they had archways. I mean,
that's what I'm doing with my hand.
Stone archways. They had shelving. I don't know. I mean, I guess I've never been to like a live prison, but I thought it was really cool. And we got a lot of flashlight
we did get a lot of
responses in there.
A lot.
Can you make a sound? Can you make a sound? Can you make a sound?
Are there any other flashlights that you could turn on? Are there any other flashlights that you could turn on? Are there any other flashlights that you could turn on?
I don't know. I really enjoyed A-Hall.
I loved A-Hall.
A-Hall was a win.
A-Hall.
It was tight.
So let's talk about the women's prison.
Talk about the women's prison.
Nobody got my joke.
It was tight.
A-Hall was tight. Okay. All right.
We acknowledge that your joke was great.
Thank you. No, you just didn't hear it.
Just because we didn't laugh, we didn't hear it. You didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay, where next?
So the women's center.
Okay.
So something really cool happened here.
Okay. The second floor. So like you walk into the prison, and it's kind of like you got the gift shop and all this stuff is what they've turned it into now. But on the second floor is the women's prison. Yeah. So that's where we are.
Walk up some steps.
The entrance building. Yep.
You're there.
You're there. You are on the women's prison. So what happened here, Boydston?
We kept hearing that tapping on the window.
Yes. That's right.
Where absolutely nothing could have touched the window. It was super high up. Like we were on the second floor, but the windows were equivalent to like a third floor.
And there's no trees around because, I mean, it's like this prison. I mean, obviously there's no trees in this. It's kind of like a college campus, honestly. Like there's like...
It's out, buildings.
It's all surrounding, like, they're all in a square. So there's no trees or anything like that. It wasn't a windy night.
No.
That I'm thinking back on and remembering. Yes, we kept hearing something tapping on the windows.
Yep. I think we videoed it.
We did.
Yep.
We'll
look
upload
back
it.
at it. Yeah, that was cool.
So, do you guys remember anything much from...
We went in one
else
of
from
the
the Women's
cells
Center?
and tried to do some flashlight stuff, but I don't think we got a ton of
We
responses.
didn't really
in
get
there.
anything much on our own.
Right.
Lindsay and I at one point walked around to the backside, and it was kind of creepy over there.
Yeah.
I was getting like a cold wind that kept coming in at one point. Like we couldn't figure it out, finally debunked it, figured out where it was coming from.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just walking around like the whole second floor by myself. Points was like, where did you go? I'm like, just walking around the cells.
Right.
I mean, it's a generally creepy building for sure.
It definitely is. But kind of the creepiest for a different reason location was the gas chamber.
Oh my goodness. This was an emotional
This
place.
was my favorite place, but not in the best way. Like, I think just...
So the gas
highly
chamber
emotional.
is like, it's a long walk from
Yeah, it
the
really
rest
is.
of the place. And just as we were walking down there, you can just imagine these people like walking to their death.
Yeah,
Right.
we walked the same walk that they would walk.
Yep.
Yeah.
That made
And
sense
we'll
in
have
my head.
pictures that we upload.
The same path.
The same path. We walked the same walk that they walked. On a
Oh,
walk.
my tea kettle came out.
We'll have pictures that we upload, but you come up to this small stone
White.
building
Yeah.
that, fun fact, past prisoners had built.
Yes.
And there's this giant stone cross
Yep.
on the ground as you're walking up to
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
It's divided into like a holding cell, two sections. One's got the actual gas chamber itself, and then some holding cells.
Uh-huh.
And then the other section is the viewing area.
Right.
With the bleachers still there where you
Yep.
can look into the gas chamber room.
Yeah, I mean, in the gas chamber, the chairs were still there. Like, we sat where people have died.
Yeah.
And there's a big picture on the wall right by the gas chamber that has all of the faces of the people who were executed there.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was emotional, I think, for all of us to just see their faces.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm an emotional person anyways, but when I see all those pictures, I got teary. And I think it was because they were predominantly African-American.
There were
in
so
the
many
pictures, and you just have
Black
to
prisoners. Yes.
There was one woman.
There was one
and they were
woman.
all male.
Whenever I was
Yes.
going through for the history on MSP, they have a portion of their site dedicated to each death row inmate that was killed
Interesting, yeah.
at the Missouri State Pen. And you just go through and look at,
Yeah,
you
see
can read their
crimes.
stories, you can read
Mhm.
everything. And it just, benefit of the doubt, you think about the times that they were
Yes.
in, and
Yeah.
you wonder, like, were they pinned for something that they didn't actually do?
Right.
Your mind, you have to wonder,
Yeah.
especially with all recent events.
Especially
like,
with
you
the world
you
now,
have
yeah.
to wonder.
Not to say that nobody ever did anything and they didn't
Absolutely.
deserve,
Right.
whatever. We're not here to debate the death penalty. However,
It's very emotional no matter what,
yeah.
whether it's deserved or not. When you sit in the chair that somebody died
Mhm.
and you know that they were probably scared, whether or not they did their crime or not, it's terribly emotional.
Yeah.
It really is.
Definitely.
And you even had a really good conversation with one of the leaders.
I did, yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah, it was about everything that we just talked about,
Yeah,
basically.
just the state of the world and
yeah.
why we were so emotional about it. And
Yeah.
she was very receptive.
Yes, I agree with that.
Which, being in Missouri and Kansas were red states.
Yeah.
It was a good
It
conversation.
can be hard to find common ground in
Yeah.
conversations about the certain topics. So we were able to, and it was a very good conversation. I would
Very
say.
emotional to go there. We all took turns sitting in the chair where people died, like you said.
Yeah.
I only lasted like maybe a minute because I think I was just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I that was
You were there a while.
I made a beeline for the chairs, and I sat
sat in
there
the
and I
bleachers
was
and
there
watched you.
for a second and just trying to take everything in. But I actually did, who knows, what the cause was, whether it be metaphysical or not, but I did get a nauseated feeling.
Mhm.
And as soon as I left, it went away.
Yeah.
I'm
believe it.
not, I don't know what the cause was.
It's a-
However,
it's-
it happened.
I don't think
Such
we
a
even
small
did.
building.
We didn't even do like an EVP session because I
No,
think we
no,
were
no.
just like being
It was
respectful
drained. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
Definitely.
that had happened there. Yeah, it was emotional,
Yeah. And
uncomfortable.
very. And you can see from the chairs where they were sitting, they have mirrors set up.
Yeah.
Did you remember that?
Yeah.
The mirrors that they could see people in the bleachers. And that just...
So people are watching
is very uncomfy.
you die, and you can see
You
them
can
watching
them.
you.
Mhm.
It's
It was
It's
uncomfy.
really bizarre.
Yeah,
hard.
that was a draining time, and And then we got to take the walk back.
We took the walk back. We only went to one more place after that, but we were just
we were drained, I think, after that one. Especially.
We went near the end of the night, and I think that was probably a good sign. Like, we had been wanting to go, but it was hard.
I'm glad we went.
For sure.
I am.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it was a really great experience. It is Sarah and Sarah approved with a haunted check mark.
For sure.
And
before we sign off, though, we must talk about very quickly our brief experience on the death row area.
Oh, yeah.
Which we think was in Sea Hall.
Yeah. So death row inmates were, from our understanding, were kind of held kind of all over the place. Towards the end, like when they're going for it, it's imminent. That's where the dungeons came in down below. But at one point in time, they were on Sea Hall or all over the place. And Sarah had kind of an experience.
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I get these like random images that pop in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And
we know.
I know.
We know, Blair.
Listen, I try. If I don't explain it, then why am I here talking about all this stuff? But when I do, I know I sound like I'm crazy. But what happened was I had this image of a female, and she was crying next. I have no idea who it was. Couldn't really see her face, but she was very upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you asked.
I asked the leaders and the psychics because at that point we didn't know there had been a woman.
That's right.
Who had been executed.
There we go.
And we weren't in the women's center. So I asked, I said, was there a woman on death row? And they're like, yeah, there's been one woman who's been executed.
Yes.
And that's when you were like, yes, that's what I'm
weird.
Seeing.
That was weird.
Totally crazy.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
But it was kind of.
We just really enjoyed it.
Validating.
We would definitely go back.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You almost kind of have to because
I want to go on the day
big.
too, just so I can see it.
Yeah.
You know, I bet it would look totally different at day.
Yeah.
Because by the time we got there, it was already dark out.
And now we know kind of where to spend more time. I think we kind of jumped around when we went to on our own. We were going to everything, which we could do again.
There's
but
so
now we
much
know where to
see,
spend some time. So for sure.
There's so much
10
to
out of
see.
10 would recommend.
Definitely recommend.
Missouri State Pen.
Oh,
And also,
that kind of rhymed.
As a fun fact, the people checking us in said, "Oh, you have a podcast? What's it called? The Thirsty Ghost?"
We're the Thirsty Ghost.
I mean, yeah, sure.
We just kept laughing at that. We're like, no, the Tipsy Ghost. As we're wearing our masks that say the Tipsy Ghost.
The Tipsy Goat? Remember?
Yes. We are the greatest of all time.
It's
missed
all the
opportunities. It's fine. It was good times.
Oh, yes. Definitely go to Missouri State Pen if you guys are ever in the state of Missouri.
100%. And we recommend the longer tour just because
there's so much to see.
There's so much to take in.
So much to see.
All right.
But
all right, guys. So much. Thanks so much for listening to our, our haunted investigation.
Paranormal investigation,
yes, our ghost hunting of the Missouri State Pen in Jefferson City, Missouri. Go to thetipsyghost.com. Boys have made us a website. It's cool.
It has all the links.
All right. And then please on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating and a great review. We'd greatly, greatly appreciate it.
Yes, we would.
And don't forget to email us and send us your stories at thetipsyghost@gmail.com.
Okay. Until then, thanks for tuning in.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay,
see ya. Bye.